Together, we built a tiny home on wheels in the UK and moved it to Ireland to start a brand new life and build a homestead.
We work together, we live together, we spend basically 24/7 together. And so far it hasn't been a problem.
No.
Hardly a crossword, unbelievably.
So we're obviously well matched and that's probably why it works for us. So the tiny home's been parked up here now on our land in Ireland for just under 3 years. We are completely off-grid here. We have a rainwater harvest system and we have our solar array. We have our fruit bushes. We planted up the orchard and I've started making some raised beds out of pallets and we cannot wait to get growing our food.
Although I dreamed of being off-grid for a very long time, I'd never lived the reality of it, but I've got no regrets whatsoever. I absolutely adore our little home. We created it together and when we work together we just create magic, don't we?
Yeah, it's an absolutely beautiful spot. We're right in the middle of the countryside, aren't we? And it's absolutely glorious. So welcome to our home. So just inside the entrance is this lovely secluded little area. It's where the gable end of the tiny home is. And as you can see, Michelle's covered it with climbers, which is a bit of a running theme going through the garden. She absolutely loves them. They're also scrambling over this shed that I built to house our tools. And the green roof at the moment's looking particularly magnificent with the calendula, the wildflowers that are growing up there. Just coming through into the main garden is this rustic arch that I literally just built out of fallen branches and twigs after one of the storms. And then we have our sign here, which is pronounced Charman and means sanctuary or place of protection, which we felt was perfect for both us and the wildlife. So moving through to the main part of the garden, our cottage garden that's surrounding the tiny home, and the main focal point really our absolutely stunning wildlife pond. It was one of the first things that we did and it's looking absolutely incredible at the moment and it's attracting all sorts of diverse wildlife and it's just an absolute delight. To really be able to enjoy the pond, we wanted to create a seating area that actually, like a little bit of a jetty or a pontoon that came out over the pond. Michelle loves on a sunny day to sit here and dangle her feet into the nice cool water. And now it has cleared from the algae, which we think is partly due to we have a massive amount of tadpoles. It's just absolutely incredible. You can see so much life in there. Also on the pontoon is where Michelle's created this beautiful alpine garden and it's really lovely. The plants are really happy here and there's still plenty of room to sit down and it's a very tranquil spot with the sound of the waterfall that we've put in the pond and the fountains. So we've just come back down and now we're at the tiny house and as you can see Michelle's created this beautiful cottage garden. This is a really good view of the deck and you can really see how picturesque it is. I mean, it just blows my mind. It's like being on holiday every day. It really is wonderful.
So this all started about 5 years ago. Me and Brendan were approaching our 50s and we met online. We soon realised that we were soulmates and also at the same time discovered that we both wanted something very different out of life.
So for me, I was at a time in my life where my children had grown up and I really wanted to get away from the hustle and bustle of the town that I was in.
My children had also grown up and fled the nest and I'd also done a bit of travelling.
So we both desired a large outside space. We started looking for properties in England, Wales, Scotland and France, but soon realised that it was way out of our price range. It was then that we discovered Ireland, an absolutely stunning country, and we don't know why we didn't look at it before. And that is when we came up with the idea of building a tiny home.
Mm-hmm. Welcome to our tiny house. If somebody had told me years ago that I would be doing anything like this, I wouldn't have believed them, especially in my middle age. But I met Brendan and together we pulled our skills and we designed and built this entire place and now we're living in our beautiful home.
The total cost of building the tiny home came in at around £50,000 sterling, which is about $67,000. That does include absolutely everything. So we think we've done really well with the budget and what we've managed. We haven't really sacrificed anything. We've still got our luxuries, and we've got everything that we need in that tiny space, haven't we?
Yeah.
So the internal footprint of the tiny home is 5.7 metres long by 2.2 metres wide, which gives us an internal living space of 12.5 square metres approximately. It was really important to me at the design stage, especially with my height, to be able to create this big, light, airy space, and the windows really help with that. They're really quite large for the area. It did mean that we cancelled or ruled out that we were going to have a mezzanine or a raised bed, which is quite traditional in tiny homes. But with me and Michelle not getting any younger, I don't think that was a bad decision, because it could have been quite a struggle in years to come.
So this is our kitchen, and it's the heart of our home, like a lot of people. But unlike a conventional kitchen, we don't have the luxury of lots of cupboard space. So when we were designing it, we knew we had to be very selective about exactly what we put in it and use on a daily basis. So it actually started with us buying these jars and bottles and all the utensils we thought we'd need. And then we built the kitchen around it. And it's brilliant because everything is really to hand. This is where we do most of our prep and our cooking. And the shelves themselves are made out of solid oak and copper, and they've aged really beautifully over the years. It's absolutely gorgeous. Our fridge and freezer are just under the worktop. Now they're both 12 volts, so they run off our solar system. They're also very, very small, but it just means that we are quite conscious when we go shopping to make sure that it can all fit in. One of my favourite things in this kitchen is this penny splashback. We could have gone and bought a splashback, but we decided that we wanted something a bit more unique. So I went and bought 1,000 pennies and stuck them on one by one. So that was a real labour of love.
The hob, we went for a 2-burner hob. We did consider going for 4 burners, but with it being just me and Michelle, and with the fact that we use a steamer, we thought we'd take that risk. But to be honest, there's nothing that we haven't been able to cook that we would have done on a 4-burner hob, and that's worked really well. That runs off LPG, and we've actually got refillable gas bottles, which are really cheap compared to when you take your gas bottles and exchange them at the shops. The oven and grill, both also on LPG, and they work really well. So moving on to the sink area, we went for a single bowl because obviously we had limited counter space. The main tap is connected to our rainwater system, which is where we collect it from the roof. It gets stored in our tank and it goes through a filtration system. We don't actually drink that at the moment because I haven't set up the UV correctly yet, but that will be something we'll be doing in the future. So for drinking water now, we have this lovely jar, and we have a public water tap up the road where we can get water for that. So finally, in this central area, in the corner here, we've got our table. We're really pleased with this. It's actually just a piece of ply that we've covered with resin, but it looks really good. It's really, really strong and durable. And with the stools underneath here, it's just a great place to sit in the morning and have breakfast with that fantastic view. Lovely big window. Also, I mean, we use this space so much. I sit here on my laptop and do my editing, or if we're on the internet, we just sit here with a cup of tea or coffee, just, again, looking out of the view. This is also where we got our charging points. We've got these dotted around the tiny home, but we've got our security camera in this one and just charging point for phones and stuff. I did drill a hole in the table for the laptop charger because that does need to run off the inverter. And we've also got a HDMI cable there which connects the laptop to the TV. So that's quite useful. We are completely off grid here. So most of our electricity comes from our main solar setup with our solar panels and batteries, and it's mainly 12 volt. We do have an 800 watt inverter, that we use to charge our laptop and run certain appliances. We do have a backup generator for the winter. It's a petrol generator, but we find we only use that a couple of months a year. And also we have 2 battery powered generators, but we use them mainly in the evenings for watching TV, don't we? And that sort of thing. Moving into the middle of the orchard, we have our solar array. Now we have 8 160 watt panels that run our main system in the tiny home, and 2 200 watt panels that are dedicated to charging our battery powered generators. So moving to the back of the orchard, this is normally trimmed actually, but as with everything with homestead life, and what we're realising is I've sort of taken on a little bit too much with the lawn, so I'm really struggling to keep on top of it all, so it looks a bit wild at the moment. But I'm hoping as we get a bit more time off work that I'll be able to keep on top of this. So just behind the orchard, we've got about 4 acres of land, and we're really excited about what we're going to be doing with this, because this is where we're going to have our cooney pigs and some donkeys and hopefully some goats. Now, although we are a homestead, we won't be eating of any of our animals as we're vegetarians, but we will be using the pigs we'll be creating smaller areas where they can root up the ground and help prepare the ground for us for growing vegetables and that sort of thing. We're really excited about this area to build a chicken coop and a large chicken run. We're going to be getting rescue hens, and we'll definitely be eating their eggs. Another rustic arch and another climber. So just outside the polytunnel here, we have our fruit bushes. This is just the start of what we want to grow really, but we did have a really good harvest of blackcurrants and raspberries last year. Now the polytunnel, we cannot wait to get going and fill this with food, and we want to put a grapevine in here. It's a big plan for next year along with the allotment, but because we've been concentrating on so many other things and the wildlife and the pond, the garden, and with work, we've just had to put it on the back burner. So this quite large area is going to be designated for our allotment, and it looks an absolute state at the moment. I've started making some raised beds out of pallets, but again, when I get my teeth into this, it'll really take shape pretty quickly, and we cannot wait to get growing our food. And in the background you can see our woodland. Now we've got some mature trees that are absolutely magnificent, but we've actually planted hundreds of trees going right back a couple of acres, and you can just sort of see a few of them in this area here that have really started to take off. Just situated under the sink, at the bottom is our diesel heater outlet. Now the actual unit is outside of the tiny home, as we felt more comfortable not having to run the exhaust through the wall, and it is a lot safer. It is our only source of heat, but because the tiny home is so well insulated, if we keep the doors and windows closed when it's cold in the winter, it heats up really quickly. Even though this is quite a big airy space, it fills it with lovely warm air, and it's really cosy. We've also got here our steps, which is how we get in and out of bed, and they double up as some clothes storage, which, to be fair, is not enough. We haven't got a wardrobe, and that was one of the compromises in this area actually. We were thinking of putting some sort of hanging space or more cupboards for clothes, but we've actually got them stored outside in our utility at the moment, and although it's a little bit of a pain, I think the trade-off is definitely worth it. So moving over to the opposite side of the kitchen, we've got one of our favourite things in the tiny house, and it's these cat steps. And basically, Marley's a little bit old to use these, but Daisy, who is in her prime, every evening she jumps through this hole and comes up onto the step. There's a hole here, and goes up into this little corridor, which takes her down to her little mezzanine. She has got a tiny bedroom upstairs. Also, we have our battery-powered generator down here, which we use for watching TV in the evenings and our surround sound and PlayStation. And finally, I suppose in this area, and this is probably the best tenner that we've ever spent, is just this fly screen, a magnetic fly screen. Since we've got this, it's been brilliant. We get maybe 1 or 2 a year, and that's it.
So this is our bedroom. Now, because we didn't opt for a loft room or a mezzanine space, we lost the room underneath for what could potentially be a lounge area. So this doubles up as that, and this is what we affectionately call our day bed. This is somewhere that we can relax and watch TV or just read a book. Marley spends most of his time here, whether it's the day or the night, but we have packed a lot into this very small room. First of all, I chose the wallpaper, which I absolutely adore, and we've got our entertainment system, and that consists of an enormous TV, a DVD player, PlayStation, and our internet router, which is connected to an aerial outside. We've got the broadband SIM, and that's completely unlimited. At this end of the bedroom, we have these cupboards above our heads, and these are where we put these cushions when we want to go to sleep at night. We've also got two sets of lights in here. So we've got the overhead bright lights, they're LED, and we also have these little bedside lights or little night lights. The two final things in this bedroom, and probably the ones I love the most, are the heater controls. So if it's a cold wintry morning, we can just turn the heater on, stay snuggled up until it heats up and gets lovely and cozy and warm in here. And the other thing is this. We can close that off if we want to. It makes it nice and snuggly. So we're now in the tiniest room in our tiny house, and that's our beautiful bathroom. So that consists of a compost toilet. We've got a beautiful glass sink that Brendan made a bespoke cabinet for. We've got some more storage above us for any toiletries and medicines, etc. In fact, this room has probably got the most storage of the whole house. We didn't have room for a door in here, just for practical reasons, but we do have a beautiful privacy curtain. So this is our shower. We shower in rainwater, and that's heated with an LPG hot water heater. We've got a little window in here and LED lights, so it makes it nice and bright.
So finally we come to the outside laundry area. Now, like a lot of things, this isn't finished, but we've got our low wattage washing machine in here, and this is all connected to the rainwater harvesting system and runs off our solar and works really, really well. On sunny days, we just have to get as much washing as we can done. So it's been nearly 3 years, and for me, I mean, I absolutely love it. As far as the tiny house goes, it's an incredible space. I love the fact that everything's close to hand, and we've really minimalised and sort of got rid of so many possessions that we just did not need. I love the fact also it's really economical. It's so cheap to heat, and it's cosy and it's warm and it's inviting, and married with the outside space, it is just a dream, isn't it? It's absolutely perfect.
For me, it's almost idyllic.
Yeah.
Particularly at this time of year as well. But we thought we'd be tripping over each other, and we just don't, do we?
No.
I just can't believe we can live in such a small space so harmoniously.
Yeah, me too. It's quite strange really, but even though that we're probably literally nearly within touching distance of each other for 90% of the time when we're in there, it doesn't feel like we're in each other's space. It's so well compartmentalised. So we don't feel that we compromise on many things, and we have a really good quality of life, don't we? But there is things that can be a little bit awkward, and laundry is one of them. And the lack of space for storage, which we always knew that could be an issue. But now we've built the deck and the utility on the side of the tiny home. That's doubled the floor space easily. And the deck is another amazing place to sit and relax and unwind. So along with everything else that we've been cramming into this short period of time, we've also set up a YouTube channel, haven't we? Called the Off-Grid Island Dream. And we document everything on there about our lifestyle and the homestead that's growing, and we're going to be documenting when we get our first animals, and basically just sharing our story and our life. I want to stay in it for as long as possible.
I'm the same.
Obviously this is not for everyone, and it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of courage, really, isn't it? It's been difficult, you know, to get to the place where we've got to, but we've made it happen. We're really proud of ourselves, aren't we? And this life.
I've said it so many times, but I genuinely couldn't live here with anyone else except Brendan, and that's because he's my best friend and my soulmate, and I love him to bits. So I couldn't imagine living here with anyone else.
No, me neither. No.
Subscribe to Exploring Alternatives, and please share this video if you liked it. You can also follow Michelle and Brendan on their YouTube channel at The Off-Grid Ireland Dream. Thanks for watching.